Hi, I'm James, and in today's video we are taking a look at this, which is a Dell Inspiron 3793 laptop. And we are going to start by removing the back panel. And to do this we are going to go around and remove all of the screws from the base. Now what I like to do, because there is some slight differences between the screws on this, I think these back corners, this laptop appears to have been fiddled with in the past, so some of these screws are retained, but I don't know if all the screws are in their original positions, so you may find slightly different on this. But what I like to do, these two don't seem to lift out because they're partially threaded, the rest are fully threaded. But as I take them out, I'm going to place them off to the side in the same positions that I've removed them from, so I can put things back in the same place they came out. All the screws on this are exposed, they are non-hidden. And we, like I say, just need to go around and remove everything to begin with. This one here for the optical drive is a little shorter. As is that one. And removing the final ones at the front. We then want to just gently pull on the optical drive to remove that, and underneath there are two additional short but flat-headed screws. So let's take those out. This is just using a Phillips size 00 screwdriver bit for all of these. And with that done, we can then flip over the laptop. Some of these screws that were still in place may release themselves in the process. And then we need to open up the display, and we're going to take our pry tool, and starting at the front here, we are just going to press this in between the palm rest and the base to begin releasing the base from the machine. So having done the front, we then need to work on the sides. Again, just pressing this between the join to release, and then attempting to get in on the other side. Okay, and with all of those released, we can then close the laptop over again. And then just going to give these ones a quick twist to make sure they are all out properly. And then just pulling up on the base panel to remove that. And we are inside the machine. Once inside, our first job is to peel back this little piece of tape here and disconnect the battery. There are two little edge pieces on this connector which we can leverage against to remove the battery connector, and with that done we can then start working on the machine. If we wish to replace the battery, then that is held in with 4 screws. It is a fairly typical Dell YRDD6 type battery, and I will try and include a suitable link for this in the description below, at least here where you can buy it in the UK. Removing these 4 screws, we can then remove this battery. It is some slight adhesive on these cables, so just make sure not to pull on those too hard when removing it. And also, when replacing the battery, this cable has to be transferred onto the new battery. It can just be removed by pulling it up to disconnect and then slotted into the replacement when fitting, like so. The battery can then be repositioned and the 4 screws refitted. If your DC jack has been damaged, as it has on this machine, we have a replacement here which we're going to fit. And to do this, we first of all have to loosen off the left hand hinge as you would normally look on the machine, or right hand as we're looking on it now, by removing the 3 screws that hold that in place. With those removed, we can then just pull open the hinge, and this gives us access to the DC jack. We're going to disconnect the original one and then undo this retaining screw here. We can then thread out the original cable and insert our replacement. So I'm going to start by refitting the retaining screw. And then this cable is a little longer, just the replacement that was available is a slightly different part, but we can just wind around the extra space. Insert that into there. And then just try and thread the extra length of cable in to this gap here as best we can. And so we've had to create a little bit of an extra loop there just to accommodate it, but once things are closed up, that all should be fine. And then re-close and refit the hinge. While the system is on the desk, we're also going to pay some attention just to check over the thermal paste and the fan. So to remove the fan, this is held in with 3 screws. With those removed, we can then just release the display cable just to unthread that from the side of the fan, and then lift the fan out and disconnect it from the connector there. Fortunately, our heatsink is actually very nice and clean, but even so, we are going to just renew the thermal paste while we're working on it. This is done by undoing the 4 screws here. With those undone, we can then we then have an additional 3 screws up here for the graphics. And with those removed, we can then lift the heatsink off and place this here to clean. And with that done, we are then just going to apply a small dab of thermal paste onto each of these chips. Before refitting our heatsink. The heatsink can be removed without removing the fan, of course. There is nothing to interfere from that. But we're going to clamp down these 2 heat sinks. Before refitting our fan, making sure to remember to plug it in, as it's always infuriating when you finish the job and then realise you have not reconnected the fan, and refit the 3 screws for that. Before rerouting the display connector and connecting it back in here, making sure it is plugged in nice and straight. So that white line wants to be in line with the 2 little notches at each end, and then press that closed. So we're now ready to close the machine back up. And so first of all, we want to reconnect the battery, ensuring that that is lined up, pushed into place, and the tape pressed down onto it. We then take our base panel and line it up before flicking the machine back over, opening it up and clipping the base into the top armrest, and then going around and refitting all the screws into the base. I hope you found this video helpful. If you have, do hit the like button, or if you want to contribute towards the running of the channel, feel free to hit the thanks button and make a contribution there. Do ask any questions you have in the comments, and hit subscribe if you'd like to see more videos as we post them. Thanks for watching.